get you warmed up. Hey, listen, I am super excited that you're here today. Give it up for this band one time, y'all. Come on, let them know. Yeah, there you go. Hey, listen, we have been talking through this series called Keep It Simple. Got the shirts down at the Do Good store. It's open today, so that's kind of fun. But why are we talking about Keep It Simple and have this little reminder for you? Because it's not easy to keep it simple in life. It's complicated, and a lot of things are going on. So last week we talked about prayer. Anybody may remember that? Anybody have a better prayer week this week? Let me hear you. Sound like 4 or 5 of you. At 8 o'clock, it was crickets, son. I'm talking about just, nobody said anything. But we're super thankful because the week before that was on rest, when we're going to be talking about a lot this week that I promise you will have an impact. But since we're talking about prayer, pray for my brother because the Lions lost. He finally understands football pain, all right? He got in the bandwagon of the Lions. They lost last night, and he's like, man, I don't even know how you do this. So it doesn't always go your way, and that's why prayer is important, and that connection to the Lord in those times is very, very important. Today is one of those lessons we all need to hear, but I'm going to set you up by giving you a hint of what we're talking about today. And that's going to be kind of a weird hint, so just kind of hang in there, listen close, and I'm going to ask you a question once the clip is over. Roll it.
Don't waste it. Don't waste your life.
Okay, here's the question, all right? What was the phrase at the beginning, at the end, that the man said, Iron Man, don't waste your life? Man, look at y'all. Come on, give yourselves a little love. Y'all did good already. Listen, pay attention. And here is why this is important. You know, if you want to be a superhero, Iron Man found his identity. He found what he was supposed to be doing, went through that whole process of the movies. And if you haven't seen any of that, you never saw one Marvel movie, you still get the idea because we're battling with this idea of what am I doing here? What is the purpose of me being on this planet? So, you know, many of you are going, I thought this was going to be simple sermons because I said a couple of weeks ago we're going to do one-word sermons. Well, let me simplify don't waste your life for you with this one word, and that is serve. It's not about you. I'll put it on the screen for you so you can write it down so you can remember it. And why do I put it on the screen? I want you to see it, I want you to hear it, and then I want you to understand the importance of what we're talking about today. I don't want you to take my word for it. I don't want you to take Iron Man's word for it. I want you to look at the life of Jesus, and you're going to see, because he had a lot to say about this one particular thing. And before we get to what he has to say, I want you to evaluate your life, just like we did with rest, just like we did with prayer. Have you ever thought about why you're on this planet? Not just your job, not just maybe some of even the relationships that we have. I'm wanting to go a little bit even deeper than that. Many times, people in America, they work through this next phrase, there's got to be more. So you have relationships, you have jobs, you have all of these things that you're accomplishing, whether it's, you know, material items or whatever it is, but there's something still empty and you're still trying to figure it out. Because we get in this habit of we work all the time to try to make more money, to be able to pay more bills, and it's like, that can't be it. And then you think, well, more for me would be if I had more money, a better job, or whatever, and I understand that, that's cool. You know, I want you to be better. I want you to push yourself to get better. But I also want you to understand that it doesn't matter how much money you have, it doesn't matter how good the job is, there's still something bigger than that. There are things that money can't buy. For example, I put a list up on the screen for you. Money, no matter how much you have, it can't buy your peace. There's things that happen on the inside of you, like, man, I'm just not at peace. Or your integrity, or respect from your kids. You can't buy that. Your health. Man, we're reminded of that so much in these last few weeks, man. You're like, I can't have enough money to make it healthy. And there's been some amazing technology in the medical field, but still, it's like, man, what would you pay to have health? Like, there's not enough. Your family, your relationships. But this last word that I put up there is really where I want to kind of focus for a little bit longer. And that is, you can't pay for your purpose. You can't come up with a way to go, hey, listen, I got enough money. Now I have found what I'm supposed to be doing. Those are just a few of the things that money can't buy. And as we're chasing wealth and chasing all these different things going on, it can be an exhausting run. you can say, man, I just don't know if I'll ever really catch whatever it is that I'm running for. And somebody may think, well, I'm just not fast enough. So I'm going to pull up one of the fastest guys I know that's going to give us a little bit deeper lesson in chasing all this other stuff. You might recognize this guy right here, pretty popular. Anybody know who that is? Where's he at? Come on. Sound like 4 people. Thank you. I think that was Putt back there. Appreciate it. Because here's the thing. Deion Sanders, an amazing athlete, one of the fastest guys on the planet at the time, he brought in I think Jerry Jones paid him $35 million to move from San Francisco to the Cowboys back in the day. And it was a crazy amount of money. He was at the top of his game, had just won a Super Bowl with San Francisco, came over to Dallas, won a Super Bowl with Dallas. And that's why if you want to know what I'm hoping for in the coaching thing, I'll go ahead and put it up there. But that's my plan right there, all right? I pray. We talked about prayer last week. My brother in the lines, I'm praying for this to happen. But why would I talk about all of this? Because I ran across a clip on purpose, significance, money, trying to find out relationships, all these different things. And Deion, it's an older clip. When I found this, I thought, man, I got to show it because he was in the pursuit, and it came up a little bit short. Watch.
I'm on the top of the world and the top of my game, and I'm empty and desolate. I'm thirsting. I give the analogy, could you ever imagine having 100 suits, but you can't cover up the pain? Could you ever imagine having hundreds of pairs of shoes, but you can't take a step in the right direction? Can you imagine having up to 10 cars in the driveway, but you ain't going nowhere? Could you imagine living in a mansion, but feeling all alone? Could you imagine sleeping on a $25,000 bed, but you're not getting no rest? Could you imagine engulfed with women, but you get up and nobody's satisfied? Could you imagine those times? I mean, those are the times, running out that tunnel and doing what you did on the football field, but you're empty. And sooner or later, you running out of gas, and you know it's going to come to a head, and that's what happened.
This is a guy who had more than all of us combined. Will never, odds are, accomplish what he accomplished or have what he had. But he could not find what he was looking for. We may not all be chasing money. Some of us, you heard a long list of what Deion was talking about, but we're all chasing something bigger. Maybe it's a dream, maybe it's a desire that you've had, or maybe it is a purpose. And if I were to simplify that, I would say it's make your life count, or one word, significance. When you're trying to figure out why you're here, you want to make a difference, you want to be significant, you want to look back and go, it mattered. This past week, I went to a funeral of a dear friend, Cindy Cox. Her mom passed away. Bill and Cindy volunteer here, and I grew up with Bill and Cindy at Southwood. And when her mom passed away, went to the funeral, and in this funeral, this was an educator. The room was packed. Had about 6 or 7 people get up and speak at the funeral. And all they could talk about was not her bank account, not the house she lived in, not the car she drove, but what she did with her life. It was this idea, it was bigger than the things that she owned. There was a significance, there was a purpose, there was a reason that she was on the planet. Now, how do we get to this place? I've learned, and I'm learning even through like Miss Cox's life, that the road to significance is paved in service. See, this is why teachers, educators, first responders, military, doctors, nurses, why do those jobs, those occupations receive such accolades? Because they've gotten to the place where they're serving others. And ironically, all of those positions, other than a doctor, don't make a lot of money. It's not like you're getting rich in these fields, man. You're working all the time to meet the needs of all these other people. So if we're trying to figure out what we're doing and why you're on the planet, and you're going, man, I'm not going back to school. I can't figure that out. I'm not going to be a doctor. I'm not going to be able to go into first responder. If you're young, you're trying to figure that out as well. But this message applies to all of us. No matter where you are in your walk, this is a message for you. Because if you want significance, if you want purpose, if you want to be great, serve is the word. Now, it sounds kind of disappointing because you go, man, that's really the message? Well, it's not my message. I might have picked something else. I might have tried to make it clear in another way. But Jesus, over and over and over again, is showing you that. Even Deion Sanders, in his point in his life right now, that's why I don't believe he'll coach Dallas. That's why he's staying in college. And you go, why? because it's about his purpose. For him, he even says it's a ministry. It's not about making more money. It's not about getting more prestige. It's about loving on kids and teaching kids, and he's still figuring that out. Now, selfishly, I pray that he does because he can love and teach in the NFL. That's good. Come on over, right? Because we all selfishly have our own desires and goals, and he's trying to figure out what God has put him on the planet for. With all the success, he knows now is there something, a greater calling to that, and that is serving others. So I'm going to give you 5 quick things today to work on, to evaluate, and to prove the point that Jesus is saying this is the call for all of us. Number 1, Jesus served other people's agendas. So I want you to evaluate your life in this area. When you look at your life, is it about you? Is it your schedule, what you want, your desires, or is it other people? See, Jesus was the king, literally, at putting other people first, and it made a lot of people uncomfortable and mad. He would stop and heal and help people when the disciples had another agenda. One of the greatest examples is Mark chapter 10, when Jesus heard a man hollering for him. They had other things to do. The disciples were like, come on, Jesus, we got to go this direction. But he stopped there in the middle of the road and told that guy, man, come to me. And he healed him right there on the spot. He took time to sit with the woman at the well who had all kind of sin and all these things going on, but she was the priority. You could talk about the Roman centurion guard who had a child that was passing away. When the disciples were like, we got to go this way, he said, no, we need to take care of this, because it wasn't his agenda. He was listening, stopping, and serving other people's agenda other than his own, and even other than the people that were around him. And it was confusing at the time, but he had a call, a purpose, and it was serve others before even himself. He knew it not only just in the way he lived his life, but also in what he taught. Jesus taught about serving over and over and over again. This is a great example just a chapter early when it said, I heard you arguing on the way here. This was all his followers, his disciples, some of the people that were following that didn't make it long term, but they're all gathered around. And they begin to argue about, hey, who is going to be the greatest here? They had this whole agenda going on, like, hey, man, if we're going to be something, who's going to be the greatest? Because Jesus is fixing to be the leader. He's fixing to be in charge. Jesus sat down and he called the 12 apostles. He said, hey, y'all come here. Whoever wants to be the most important must have others more important than themselves. They must serve everyone else. Now think about this. If you're the greatest leader that ever walked the planet, you're the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, you're going to be the boss. He has taken on a totally different approach than anybody else up to this point. Roman guards, you had kings, and all their kingdoms were like, serve the king. Here's Jesus going, no, if you want to be great in this kingdom, it's directly the opposite of what you think. I want you to serve others. He could have said anything there. If you want to be the greatest, pray harder. If you want to be the greatest, you could fill in the blank. But he chose serving. If you want to be the greatest, study the word. Make sure you know the word. Sing the best, whatever it is, but he didn't. The greatest was going to be those that chose to serve others. Not only did he model it by stopping and messing with people and helping people that really didn't make sense to the other people around him, then he tried to drive it home in the stories that he told and the lives that he lived and what he taught out to these guys. For example, when I talk about the stories and the illustrations and the lessons that he was teaching, probably one of the most famous stories that Jesus ever told was, and it kind of got famous because it carried on in other customs around the world. It sounds kind of like a joke to us because there was a priest and a Jewish leader and a horse walking into a bar. Do y'all remember that story found in Scripture? Well, you may not because it's not exactly right, but it was kind of silly to the people that were listening even in that time because it was about a priest and a Jew and a Samaritan. There wasn't a horse, there wasn't a bar. No, there was a donkey, and there was a man who was beaten up on the side of the road. And so he's using this crazy illustration to say, who's going to solve the problem? Who's going to be the greatest? And then he comes back in Luke and he tells them that the teacher answered, the one who helped him, the one who stopped, the one who served him, the one who put his agenda behind and put others' agendas in front. And then he told all the disciples, hey, they're all like tripping on the story. He said, this is what I'm looking for in people that are following me. I want you to go do the same. See, the Samaritan, literally the outcast, the one who's not the hero, got off his donkey and did good. You want to know why we have the donkey and why we do all this? It's a reminder for all of us. Stop what you're doing Put other people's agendas in front of your own. If you want to be great, choose to serve. Look for the need, meet the need. And Jesus illustrated with an outsider, a Samaritan, the most hated person in their culture, to be the hero of his story. He stopped and helped the hurt, the broken. He drops everything he had planned, met the needs, and exceeded the man's needs. And Jesus said, that is serving, and that is significance, and that's why you're on the planet. Not for more money, not for your agenda, not for what you think, but when you serve, you're going to get it. Now, if you need a modern illustration, I happen to run across this one this week because it's a story of a young lady who really does exactly what we're talking about. Now, it's a little odd because it's in our culture, but think about what she did to serve the person that she had no idea that this was about to happen. But the world recognized it, and so would Jesus. Watch.
A flight attendant on an Alaska Airlines trip to Portland last week asked an urgent question. Did anyone on board know sign language?
So then I pressed the call button. Then she came and she was like, so we have a passenger on the plane who's blind and deaf. So do you know how to fingerspell? And I was like, yeah, I totally know how to fingerspell.
That's how 15-year-old Clara Daly came to take up a position next to 64-year-old Tim Cook and begin a conversation.
They thought that he might need something and they weren't sure how to communicate.
Clara, who began to learn signing only about a year ago, took Cook's hand and letter by letter unlocked his wishes for water, arrival time information, and much more.
He was just lonely and wanted to talk.
Which is what the two did for an hour or more.
I was just kind of thinking wow, this is really cool. I hope I don't spell anything wrong.
Seated nearby, passenger Lynette Scribner thought it was cool too. She took this photo and wrote an account of Clara's act of kindness on Facebook, calling it a beautiful reminder in this time of too much awfulness that there are still good people who are willing to look out for each other. That post has been shared more than 600,000 times.
Doing something like that is just what anyone would have done. It's weird that I'm getting so much attention for just doing something that I wouldn't have thought twice about doing.
It's not weird, Clara. It's good. Dean Reynolds, CBS News, Chicago.
Come on, y'all. Pretty cool, right? 15-year-old girl. A 15-year-old girl, 64-year-old man who can't hear and can't see. And she's on a plane with her own agendas, but stops and talks for an hour serving this stranger. I start thinking about all of us in this room, and I think about our agendas and our schedules and our skills and our talents and our abilities. Are we willing to put someone else's agenda above our own? Jesus said, if you want to be significant, if you want to make a difference, if you want to be my follower, if you want to know why you exist, this is why. Because that's the fourth thing that I'd like to bring up. When you're looking for why God still has you breathing this morning, why you're here on this planet. The first time I memorized this verse was the first time I decided to go on a mission trip to Mexico. I was looking for a verse that would kind of challenge me and the group that we're with. And Mark 10:45 says it. Listen, man, if you got to follow my example, Jesus speaking here, I didn't come to be served. I didn't come for people to meet my needs. I came to serve others. And when you do that, you give your life away. Whether that's in a one-time week of a schedule, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to put their schedule on. I'm going to serve these other people. I'm going to let go of my agendas. Or is it a daily thing, not just a once-a-year thing in a mission trip? See, this is the goal and this is the challenge. And in our world, this is where we all struggle. Even pastors, because it's that's why you have pastor parking spots. Ridiculous. Because it's not a Jesus thing. That is a culture thing where we're trying to go, well, come on, man, recognize me. You need to take care of me. And Jesus said, our leader, the direct opposite. The only reason I exist is to serve you, to serve this community. And that is a challenge because we're human, so we keep wanting to go back to what we want or what we think. And Jesus is like, listen, if you want to be great, if you want to make a difference, if you want to know why you exist, look at the stories I taught, the illustrations I gave, what I modeled for you. You're here because it's not about you. You're here to serve others no matter what everybody else says. And not only did he say that, he also showed you how to do it better than anybody else. Jesus shows you how to serve like no one else. In the moments before he passed and he decided to go to the cross for you and me, his last move was one of the most dramatic things he could possibly do to drive the point home. He got down on his knees and he washed nasty feet. Let me say that again. Nasty, dirty feet. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the lights up and I'm going to let you wash your neighbor's feet right now, right? You got to be like, oh, Lord, I'm just kidding. Can you imagine? Now listen, I'm your Lord, your teacher, but I wash your feet. So also wash each other's feet. And I did this as an example for you, so you would serve each other just as I served you. Now think about this. Their culture, their time, we're talking about really dirty, stanky, nasty feet. They walked everywhere. Camels doo-dooed everywhere. Y'all know that? Big piles of camel doo-doo. Every once in a while you might just get in one, like, oops, right? Dirt, mud, stank. They get into this room and Jesus is like, hey boys, come on in. Let me wash your feet. Now for us, we got odor eaters, thank God. Y'all remember odor eaters? Like you could put something in your shoe, you're like, man, that ain't too bad, put a little powder in there. You got sidewalks, which is cool. Even our dogs who do poop, we put them in little bags now. You know what I'm saying? Oh, put them in a little bag, so no one walks in it, nobody steps in it. Total different time. And Jesus still did it. And I was starting thinking about me. I'm one of those people that don't like smells. Have you ever been in a car or an airplane, somebody takes off their shoes, it smells like popcorn? Y'all know what I'm talking about? I'm not too much, all right? And you're like, oh, I'm like, dude, who took off their shoes, man, all right? Why are we doing this? Jesus didn't gag. He didn't complain. He didn't get grossed out. He just got down and served and cleaned and washed the feet. See, Jesus, serving wasn't a good idea. It wasn't like a catchy slogan. It's not a one-time sermon. It was the main idea. And why would I give time up today to drive this point home? It's because you and I, this guy right here, pastor and all, we're selfish. If we wake up, most of the time we think about our agenda and what we want. Even when you walked in today, you're walking, I hope this message is for me. You're right, whatever. It's cold, I hope the heater's on. I hope they play a song I like, whatever it is. And Jesus is like, no, it's not about you. See, we put ourselves first all the time, most of the time. But serving takes our time and our humility. It takes you adjusting your time. It takes you humbling yourself. This week we were trying to get ready for the do-good store to reopen again, and there's a lot of women that came up and no money. They don't get paid anything. They just gave their time, and they came in and humbly served, from cleaning the floor to setting stuff up. I thought about when we built this building, there were hundreds of people came in and did all these things behind the scenes, all their time humbly serving. Right now, as we speak, there are people running computers and taking care of kids and standing out in the cold and holding the door open. Why? Because it's just little glimpses of, here's a little bit of my time, here's a way for me to humble myself and to serve. And Jesus said, what I'm looking for is for those that are willing to choose obedience over convenience. Tell that person that I'm preaching right now, I'm just kidding, all right? And you tell them we talk about serving right now. We ain't got time for no phone calls up in here, okay? Just kidding, y'all. I'm ADD, man. It's bad, all right? This funny, you know what's crazy? The first service, same thing happened almost the same time. There may be somebody here be like, call now. You going to hell, cuz. I'm going to tell you right now. You did that, you going to hell. I'm just kidding. Y'all know I'm jacked up. John 14. Everyone who loves me will obey my teaching. Now, why do I say all of this funny, crazy stuff? If we know this is what Jesus called us to do and we just go, I ain't going to do that. He's like, come on, man. How you say you know me? If you really know, if you think about what is our agenda? What are we supposed to be about? Why are you on the planet? It's not to make more money. It's not to have more. It is for us to go, man, this is a chance for us to serve others. And every day that we do that, you're obeying him and you're becoming more like him. And even like Miss Cox, When the day comes when you pass away, just like Iron Man, don't waste your life. And how will you not waste your life? It's what you did for others. It's those trips. It's that volunteer opportunity. It's helping the person on the airplane. So we have to look for opportunities to serve because they're going to be everywhere. In the world, you saw 600,000 people shared that story. Why? Because the world is longing for someone to show them how to serve. They're looking for good people. And Jesus said, of all the ways that the world's going to recognize you, it's going to be because you love. It's going to be because you serve. It's because you're willing to get down and wash nastiest popcorn feet, all right? And when you do that, the world goes, why would you do this? Why would you do this? The church is going to need it more than ever because if you saw the pre-show, I said it, but I'll say it here. For the first time ever, we're going to do Easter at the boardwalk, all right, which is going to be crazy because we've never done it before. We don't know what we're doing. But the one thing I do know is it's going to take more people serving than ever. Because you're going to get up earlier. You may have to work on Saturday. We think we're going to do Saturday and Sunday. We might even do Friday. We don't know what we're doing. When the details come out, the one thing you can be sure is that every person that can serve needs to be serving. Why? Because it's the largest day when outsiders come in looking for help, and we're going to need it. Because you're going to have more services than ever. You're going to have more child care than ever. We've never done child care on Sunday morning on Easter because we did just babies, but now we're doing kids. So you got multiple hours and multiple days. You got all the stuff to set up in the grass area. You got stuff in the parking lot, golf carts, and all this transportation. You're going to have more needs than ever. And some of you still go, I just don't know if I can do that or not. Please consider serving with us. On the app, you're going to look for a button that looks just like this. Keep it simple and serve. When you click on that, you have to download the app first. If you don't have the app, everything from this point forward, we're using the app for. Everything from giving, announcements, serving. You can go to the website, but the app is easier. It's on your phone. When you click on it, if you've not downloaded the Simple Church app, then you need to do that now. Start now. I'll talk about it more over the next few weeks. But when you click on there, even if you served before, sign up now because we're going to start communicating with you and getting these teams together this early. The good news is the plan as of right now, we're not washing nasty feet on Easter. Can I get an amen? All right, you don't have to do that. Bad news is we are changing dirty diapers, all right? And we will be taking out trash. And we will be trying to love people that don't look like us and that maybe don't act like us. And you need people to come in and say, I'll stop my agenda and I'll serve and I'll meet those needs. And why would we do that? Jesus said this, and I love it. If a Roman soldier demands that you carry his gear for a mile, that was the rule, that was the law in that part of the world at that time. He said, carry it what? Go the extra mile. We have these sayings in America. Man, you just got to go the extra mile. That's a Jesus saying from a culture that was not used to going the extra mile. But what does it look like when we go the extra mile? The world recognizes it. People stop and go, man, there's something different about that. And I decided to close with a guy that didn't just go an extra mile. How about 2,000 extra miles? Watch. Come on. I think it kind of says everything, doesn't it? It's like, think about what will be said of us. Think about the culture. News is putting these stories on because people are going, man, that's so sweet, so special. Here's a military veteran, then policeman, serving another military veteran. Not just going the extra mile, but would you do it? No, because it takes our time, right? He had to take his own personal vacation time. Pride, let go of his pride and humbly serve the man. And Jesus is going, and the world recognizes it. So what I'm challenging you to, I'm encouraging you, is let's start today. Let's keep it simple. Let's say, God, I'm asking for you to open my eyes to these opportunities, whether inside the church or outside. Father, as we get ready to walk out of here, we need you. I'm thankful for these great illustrations, these great reminders, and I'm thankful for the stories that you told, Lord, for the scripture now that we read. And we also see the commands. Lord, it wasn't just suggestions. It was what you told us to do so that the world would know. Help us to follow the example that you set. You did it. Now help us to do it. And when we do, we will find significance. We will find purpose. We will find value. We'll know why we're here. It's something bigger than our bank account. And Lord, when the day that you call us home, we will hear, just like Miss Cox heard, well done, good and faithful servant. whether it's in the school system, whether it's first responding, whether it's working in the church, whether it's whatever job we have here on this earth, that it would go beyond that. It would be an attitude and a heart of service, and that our kids, our grandkids, that our future is in great hands because we followed the example that you set. Lord, thank you for doing that. Help us to follow you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Can I get an amen out there somewhere?